Hi, I'm Anthony Leckers from Triple Bypass. Today I'm talking to a very special guest. I'm very excited to be speaking with Amao Leota, who is a trans activist, performer, community leader, and my dear friend. Amao, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Amao, you've done something really important for the queer community in 2019. You've started a community group called VIKA Inc. Tell us about VIKA Inc.
Okay, what VIKA Inc. is a Pacific LGBTIQ group that was started in terms of seeing a need for there to be visibility for people of LGBTIQ from the Pacific diaspora, the need to have our stories told and narratives, and a way for us to engage with the wider community, but also the wider community to engage with us, and to be able to lay a blueprint in terms of those that will come after us. So trying to start something and have it ongoing.
And Amao, what's your background? Where are you from in the Pacific Islands?
I'm from Samoa, so we have a term called whawhawhine.
Right. Yeah. And so when did you come to Melbourne?
It was a weekend trip, and I fell in love with Melbourne. And I came from Sydney originally, and I just fell in love with Melbourne, the life, and just that it was a lot more greener than I felt in Sydney, and I've been here ever since.
So Melbourne really grabbed you. Was there anything like VIKA back then when you first got here? Were you looking around for connection with your identity in terms of queerness and ethnicity and cultural background?
There was nothing, and so having had been out there in the community, I felt there was a need, a specific need, in terms of trying, as I was saying to before, was to try and get Pacific people to come forward, utilise the social services in the wider LGBTI community, but also find ways that I can also help my community, and just getting their heads around, such things as language, being in a Western context, is trying to, to try and bridge that gap and get that understanding of seeing it from both worlds, from the world that we deal with every day here in the LGBTIQ spaces, but also being able to still retain our culture, be proud of our own cultural identity, which is something quite special for Pacific Island people.
Why do you think it's taken up until now for a group like VIKA to exist? Because I know that the context that we're living in at the moment, there's more trans and gender diverse representation in our community, and even in mainstream in a way than ever before, and there needs to be more. Well, I'm not saying that that's enough. Yeah. But is it because of the time we're in terms of trans politics and history, or why do you think it's taken this long?
I think we've always been a minority group, so I think for us also it's a numbers thing. We've never kind of had other community people out there from our own community be out there. So trying to find ways that we could identify in terms of coming into LGBTIQA+ spaces. It's a case of my community feeling, comfortable, and whether they can be able to grasp the stuff such as the language. We have, the terminology of LGBTIQA, like, speaking in Samoan culture, that doesn't really exist. We have the term whawhawhine, and that fits perfectly for us, but it's also trying to get my people to understand, going into those the white spaces, that it's a whole different context, and trying to find out a way that makes them feel comfortable enough to be able to get those conversations going, and just find a way to, they may not fully understand, but just trying to comprehend what's going on and how it best can be useful there, how they can best use it to their advantage.
Right, because the word whawhawhine in Samoa has been a word for another gender for forever.
Forever.
And we've just sort of getting access to different language now in the queer community, and where even the word non-binary is not something that we would have used 30 or 40 years ago. But whawhawhine has always been there.
Yeah, definitely. It has a place in Samoan culture, Samoan society. It's a term it's a layered term, so we don't have a term to describe gay or lesbian. We don't use the term non-binary. We kind of see you as you. But the term whawhawhine is a layered term, so it kind of takes in the umbrella of gay, trans, female, and we've only just recently, in the probably last 5 years, come up with the terminology of whawhatama. Whawhawhine's meaning is in the mannerisms of a woman, and so that looks at the trans female and also the lesbian, so that would probably be fit trans femme. And for the whawhatama, which is the equivalent, which would be trans male or trans masculine or lesbian.
So this is, it sounds like these are the sorts of conversations that are just commonly had in your culture, and that you're expecting that for VIKA to provide a platform for these conversations to occur?
Oh, most definitely. I feel it's important to have that engagement and allow for people to know what we're all about, and to allow other people from the GLBTI wider community to know what we're about. You know, these things about seeing things through different people's perspectives. And I think, you know, you may not necessarily agree, but it's the thing of being able to be open and inclusive. And as we kind of use that thing of being inclusive and diverse,
Right.
I think it's a great way of showing diversity and being inclusive, of bringing in other groups from, say, people of colour spaces, of cold communities, and have a look at ways that those communities approach GLBTI, say, issues.
Right. So Amao, how can people get involved with VIKA if they're interested?
Okay, we have our VIKA Facebook page that's open for community and individuals to go on, as well as we have our website.
Amao, thank you so much for coming on and speaking to me today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
I'm Anthony Lekis. You've been watching Ben TV.